This is the video on mole worksheet E. First question, what is the mass of hydrogen that combines with 16 grams of oxygen? So you have to ask yourself, when hydrogen combines with oxygen, what does it form? And what is the chemical formula of the compound form? So hydrogen combines with oxygen, it will form H2O, which is water. So H2O is the chemical formula of the compound form. Now, when you look at H2O, you need to know that 1 mole of H2O, okay, there is actually a 1 in front. So 1 mole of H2O actually consists of 2 mole of hydrogen as well as 1 mole of oxygen. Okay, H2, the 2 belongs to H, so it means 2 mole of hydrogen, 1 mole of oxygen. Now, what would be the mass for this? What is the mass for 2 mole of hydrogen? The mass for 2 mole of hydrogen is the number of mole times the AR for hydrogen, which is 1, which is 2 times 1, which is 2 grams. How about the mass of 1 mole of oxygen? That will be the number of mole times 16, and that is 16 grams. Okay, so 1 mole of H2O consists of 2 grams of hydrogen, 16 grams of oxygen. The question wants 16 grams of oxygen combined with what mass of hydrogen? Of course, 16 grams of oxygen combined with 2 grams of hydrogen. So therefore, the answer is mass of hydrogen is 2 grams. Finish. Second question, what is the mass of calcium required to form 112 grams of calcium oxide? So you have calcium oxide, which is 112 grams. Okay, so you have to look at the mass. Since it is mass and mass, so you have to look at the mass. So what would be the mass of 1 mole of calcium oxide? Now, why is it 1 mole? Why is it not 2 mole? Because CaO, the number is in front. The number in front is 1. So that means we have to look at 1 mole of CaO. So what would be the mass of 1 mole of CaO? It is the number of mole, which is 1, times the MR for CaO. MR of CaO, what is the AR for Ca from the periodic table? It is 40. AR for oxygen, it is 16. So that would give you 56 grams. So 1 mole of CaO, 56 grams. Now, you need to know that 1 mole of CaO, like in the case of H2O, it consists of 1 mole of Ca and 1 mole of oxygen. Okay? Now, the question wants mass of calcium and CaO. So you don't need to look at the oxygen. Look at the calcium first. So what would be the mass of 1 mole of calcium? Mass of 1 mole of calcium, that would be number of mole times the AR for calcium, which is 40 from the periodic table, and that would give you 40 grams. So we have 1 mole of calcium oxide, 56 grams. And in this 1 mole of calcium oxide, okay, in this 1 mole of calcium oxide, there is 1 mole of calcium, which is 40 grams. So you can look at the mass ratio of these two substances. Mass ratio. Why is it called mass ratio? Because it's mass and mass. So mass ratio of what? Calcium. Okay, mass ratio of calcium and CaO. And CaO. So mass ratio of calcium would be 40 grams, 56 grams. Okay, 56 grams, 56 grams, 40 grams. Then now 112 grams. Now I want 112 grams. So this one would be how much? So if you do your direct proportionality correct, okay, you can do it like this, times 2. Okay, 56 times 2 is 112. So which means that this part must be times 2 as well. Which means that the answer is mass of calcium would be 40 times 2. That would be 80 grams. So every time we look at the mass of 1 mole, and then this CaO consists of 1 mole of calcium, 1 mole of oxide, 1 mole of oxygen. And the question wants mass of calcium and CaO. So we only look at the mass ratio between calcium and CaO. So remember, again, similar to mole ratio, the first row of the mass ratio is based on the formula, based on the chemical. For the mole ratio, be based on the chemical equation. For this mass ratio, it would be based on the chemical formula. So chemical formula: 1 mole of CaO, 56 gram, and 1 mole of CaO consists of 1 mole of calcium. So 1 mole of calcium, 40 gram, 40 gram, 56 gram. But the question wants amount of calcium required to form 112 gram of calcium oxide, 112 gram. So you find out what is X. Third question, what mass of oxygen combines with 138 gram of sodium? Okay, oxygen combined with sodium to form sodium oxide. Sodium oxide, the formula is sodium Na plus, oxide 2 minus, you cross multiply, you get Na2O. So this is sodium oxide. Again, sodium oxide consists of 1 mole of sodium oxide consists of 1 mole of oxygen as well as 2 mole of sodium. Correct? Na2O. And what would be the mass of 2 mole of sodium? There will be 2 times the AR for sodium from the periodic table, 23. That would be 46 gram. Again, what would be the mass of 1 mole of oxygen? That would be 1 times 16. And that would be 16 gram. So you can see the mass ratio. The mass ratio, I write it here again, between sodium and oxygen. Sodium and oxygen. Sodium is 46 gram. Oxygen is 16 gram. And now from the question, the second row, 138 gram of sodium. So this one is 138 gram. So what would be the mass of oxygen? What would be the mass of oxygen? So this one, you can say that it is times 3, correct? 46 times 3, is it 138? Let me double check. Otherwise, it's going to be embarrassing if it is wrong. Yes, times 3. So which means that this one must be times 3, and the mass of oxygen would be 16 times 3, that would be 48 gram. That would be the answer. See, they are very similar. All these questions are very similar. Number 4, what is the mass of magnesium oxide formed when 12 gram of magnesium burns in the air? So magnesium oxide, what is the formula? The chemical formula for magnesium oxide. Magnesium oxide consists of magnesium ion, which is Mg2+, as well as oxide ion, which is O2-. And then you just combine them. The charges are the same. The charges are the same. So you just combine them, become MgO, not OMg. So it's MgO. Again, 1 mole of MgO, split it, 1 mole of oxygen, and 1 mole of Mg. Then you find out what is their mass. The mass of 1 mole of magnesium, 1 times 24, which is 24 gram. And the mass of 1 mole of oxygen, 1 times 16, which is 16 gram. So you can see the mass ratio. The mass ratio between Mg and O would be 24 gram, 16 gram. And the question was, what is the mass of magnesium oxide? Sorry, you have to look at magnesium oxide. Magnesium oxide, what would be the mass of 1 mole? Mass of 1 mole of MgO, how much is it? 1 times MgO is 24 plus 16, that would be 40 gram. So it's 40 gram. See, magnesium oxide, 12 gram of magnesium. So you no need to look at oxygen. Look at MgO. So this one I erase. So it should be MgO. MgO 40 gram. Okay, so Mg and MgO, 24 gram, 40 gram. Okay, now is 12 gram of magnesium. So this would be how much? So this one divided by 2. This one must be divided by 2 as well, which means that mass of MgO, that would be 40 divided by 2, that would be 20 gram. Okay. Next question. What is the mass of calcium that combines with 35.5 gram of chlorine? Calcium and chlorine. So you ask yourself, calcium and chlorine, when they combine, what is the formula of the compound form? Calcium chloride, right? So calcium, Ca2 plus, the calcium ion. Chloride ion, Cl minus. Why is it Cl minus? Because it is from, chlorine is from group 7. Group 7 is short of 1 valence electron. So need to gain an electron, becomes Cl minus. So cross multiply, you get CaCl2, calcium chloride. So CaCl2, 1 mole of calcium chloride consists of 1 mole of Ca as well as how many mole of Cl? 2 mole of Cl, because there is a 2 here. 2 mole of Cl. So what would be the mass of 1 mole of calcium? 1 times 40, which is 40 gram. How about for chlorine? Mass of 2 mole of chlorine, that will be 2 times 35.5. And 35.5, 2 times 35.5, that will be 71 gram. See, look at the mass ratio. So the mass ratio between calcium and chlorine, calcium is 40 gram, chlorine is 71 gram. But now the question is 35.5 gram. 35.5 gram, this one will be how much? So again, divided by 2. This one must be divided by 2 as well. So what would be the mass of calcium? The mass of calcium is 40 divided by 2. That would be 20 gram. 20 gram. Finish. Okay, the last question of this page. What is the mass of copper 2 oxide produced when 128 gram of copper combines with an excess amount of oxygen? When you see excess amount of oxygen, you don't need to look at oxygen, which means that you only look at copper and copper 2 oxide. Copper 2 oxide, what is the formula? Copper 2, the 2 here basically means 2 plus. Oxide, O2 minus. See, the charges are the same, so you just need to combine, become CuO. Copper 2 oxide is CuO. Okay? Mass of copper 2 oxide when 128 gram of copper combines with an excess amount of oxygen. So you look at copper 2 oxide. 1 mole of copper 2 oxide. What would be the mass? Mass of 1 mole CuO. What would be the mass? Mass would be mole times the MR. MR for CuO is 64 plus 16. That would give you 80 gram. Okay, 80 gram. 1 mole of copper 2 oxide, 80 gram. Now in this 1 mole of copper 2 oxide, how much copper and how much oxygens are there? Okay, copper, 1 mole CuO consists of 1 mole of copper, 1 mole of oxygen. 1 mole of copper, what would be the mass? The mass is 1 times 64, that would be 64 gram. 1 mole of oxygen, again 1 times 16, that would be 16 gram. See, 1 mole of CuO consists of 64 gram of copper, 16 gram of oxygen. So again, we look at the mass ratio, and the mass ratio will be in between copper and copper 2 oxide. No need to look at oxygen because it is an excess. So copper, 64 gram. Copper 2 oxide, mass of 1 mole of copper 2 oxide, 80 gram. Okay? The question wants 128 gram of copper. When 128 gram of copper, 128 gram of copper So what would be the mass of copper 2 oxide? So we have to find out the mass of copper 2 oxide. So this one is times 2. So this one must be times 2 as well. So therefore, mass of CuO would be 80 times 2. That would be 160 gram.